everybody. Welcome to the Geek and I Federation Friday. Hopefully, we are on the air. It's been so long, and I've had nothing but computer issues. Last week, what happened last week?
Snow.
Snow. Yeah, electric. Yeah. Apparently, we can't handle 4 inches of snow down here in Texas.
Well, we're about to find out if Long Island can handle it this weekend. So
unbelievable. I am so tired of snow, and it's gone already. There's like little patches where you're like, why is that can't be real snow, because it's been 70 degrees for 2 days straight and it's still there.
Well, you know, from living in the Northeast, you always have that patch of snow that holds on until like the last week in May, the first week in June. It's gray, it's disgusting, but it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's got the little black spots in it.
Chunks of giant rock salt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't have rock salt here. We have brine. So I don't know if they make it local, because we're surrounded by lakes up here. So it's all fresh water. And they just drive around shooting your car with brine.
You could throw some chicken cutlets out there and marinades.
Yeah, it starts to smell like shrimp after a while.
Cats must love it.
So, well, welcome everybody to the Geek and I and Federation Friday, and we're kind of catching up with some. How long have we been off? 3 weeks? 4 weeks before Christmas?
I think it's 3 weeks, right?
We're back on episode 20, right?
Sure.
It's court. The math, come on. Numbers, math, no.
Court martial. Hey, just so if you guys are watching back here and you start to see flames come up, just let me know, because I have my space heater on. So I don't want anything to start to burn. All right. So just keep an eye on this corner for, a little bit of smoke, maybe some flames or anything.
You'll be the first we let know.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be like, oh, it's hot in here. Am I flashing?
Menopause.
So what is this week's episode about? Court martial. Explain it to us.
It's about trying to save money doing a show with 4 sets. It's a bottle show.
Pretty much.
It's a pretty good episode, I think. And it's more of a courtroom drama, which you could probably take this story and put it into any other kind of drama show and it would hold up.
Well, that's where I don't know, the episode kind of lost me along the way. I remember you saying, the lawyers pretty good, the interactions were really good, and I kind of watched it, and I had some thoughts about it, and we'll get to that when we get to the slides.
Just to preface that, I did a little research on this when I had nothing else to do for a week. And apparently this episode ran really long. So there were a bunch of scenes that were eventually cut out for time, which resulted in kind of the weird voiceover we get at the end of the episode as action is taking place. So it felt a little disjointed in the last act. But all in all, I thought it was still pretty good.
Oh, no, I enjoyed it. It was just a little weird, some of the some of the lines that certain people said didn't really pay off for me at the end or during the episode. But we'll get there. Deb, what are your thoughts? Initial thoughts on this episode?
Well, I always love a good courtroom drama. There were a few times, especially at the beginning, and I think it was when Kirk is talking, but it just seemed like overly dramatic to me. I was just like, okay, you really didn't have to go that far with it. But yeah, there was just a few times where I thought it was over dramatized, and but other than that, I love a good courtroom drama. I like this episode.
It was. Do you think this episode was the inspiration for, what was that other one? Measure of a Man?
Oh, I definitely think it influenced it 100%.
And would it have been cool to have the guy's name Cogley?
I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, even the interaction between Picard and Philippa Laveau, I think her name was, the Judge Advocate General, almost kind of mirrored the Kirk and Ariel Shaw relationship. Is that, she's a female prosecutor and she knew him in the past and they had a previous kind of relationship. So,
right.
Again, not surprising that, Gene stole from himself, but yeah.
I kind of thought she should have recused herself.
Yeah, apparently that doesn't exist in the 23rd century.
Especially after like the ethics violation, or we're coming after you and I'm the prosecutor. It's like, okay, I think that's
but here's
illegal.
a good lawyer for you.
I mean, the simple fact of the matter, too, is that she's kissing him on the bridge when she leaves. Somebody might be like, that might be grounds for one of those bad trial things. Mistrial. Yeah, that's it.
So we start off. What are they back at Earth or no? This is
No,
this is a
Starbase,
Starbase, right? Yeah, there it is.
Very improved matte painting.
And we don't see the thing that causes the damage, right?
The ion storm.
No, the very heavy laden special effects ion storm did not make it into the show. Just a lot of this and some rumbling, but that was about it.
This guy was great.
Percy Rodriguez, what a great actor.
Yeah.
Do you know his other big claim to fame? This guy did so many voiceovers for films in the late 60s through the late 70s, including the one from my all-time favorite film, Jaws. He does that narration in the trailer.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the devil gave him Jaws. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he was good, and I like the little emblem he's got on his uniform. And then we have Kirk in his green halter top.
Mm. That's his man girdle.
His Myrtle.
Yeah.
They make girdles for men?
I wouldn't know. The only thing missing from that is like a medallion hanging around his neck. It's the plunging neckline on man never looks good.
Well, he lent it to Bones, and that's what showed up in.
He got it back like 15 years later.
So apparently there was this ion storm, and a crew member was killed, and they're trying to figure out what Kirk did and the order in which he did it, and to see if it's his fault. So that, they were at red alert, and apparently there's a pod that this guy was in, and they shot him out into space, into the ion storm, and it killed him, apparently.
Yes, he was in the observation pod and then was jettisoned into the ion storm.
And then we have, I don't know, this one reminded me of what was her name from the one that turned purple in
Kim Darby. Yeah. Miri.
No, not Miri.
You talking Willy Wonka?
Yeah, Willy Wonka.
Oh, Willy Wonka. Okay.
Yeah, she was just a
Veruca Salt.
I don't know. It's been so long.
Oh, no, Pilot Beauregard. That's it. Turning purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like her Sailor Moon dress.
So she's angry at him now, and then later on, like, completely changes.
Yeah, that was such an abrupt. I didn't get that.
Yeah, scenes were filmed and cut for that. Yeah.
So how long was the actual runtime? Like, if they put everything back in, do you know what the runtime would be?
I think it was like 12 minutes over.
So not enough to make it a two-parter.
Yeah. By the way, this piece of paper he's been holding the whole time is a standard Desilu actor's contract.
Is it really?
Yeah. The prop department forgot to make something, so they just ran to the office and got one.
And he's reading it saying, do I get to come back someday as this character? So the computer log says that they jettisoned the pod before the red alert while it was still yellow.
Yep.
And Kirk is like, no, I swear I did it right. I followed, the procedure. And
wait, go back one shot. I love this in the remastered shot. You can actually see towards the bottom. That's where it got jettisoned from. And there's
that hole.
Yeah, the hole there. And they redid a beautiful shot of somebody walking past those two large white windows. There, you could see a yeoman in a red uniform walking through there. I thought it was just a really nice effect. But yeah, that's the pod.
That's pretty neat. They didn't do anything like that for the original, right? They didn't enhance anything. They just created put it right there. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So when you're about to go on trial for murder, first thing you do is go to the bar.
Well, if you're Alec Baldwin.
Well, that's true. Hold on. I lost my buttons. So now everybody hates Kirk.
Yeah. Like these are his classmates, for God's sakes. And they're just like, you killed Finney. Like, guys, you knew him for all these years, and automatically He's a persona non grata.
So everybody's like against that was another thing that bothered me about this episode was that I don't know, everything seemed a little bit off, like they were shoehorning stuff into this episode, whereas I don't know, did Ben's friends think he should have been captain all along and not Kirk? Now, does this go back to Kirk cheating on the Kobayashi Maru?
I think nobody likes a rat. And I think the fact that he ratted him out 15 years ago has kind of stuck with him. I mean, and you are right that things are off because we have McCoy being the voice of reason here.
So now they want to hear the rest of the story. And then I think he's got a pretty good line here where he just says, yeah, it sounds like you've already made up your mind. Oh, you know, I'm not even going to bother talking to you. And then this guy bumps into, I think I watched this a couple of times just to see, like, is it really an accident, or was this guy hanging out on the other side of the wall looking to bump Kirk? And then this is, what's her name? Selena
Ariel
Kyle.
Shaw.
Oh, Ariel Shaw.
Yeah.
Shaw, right?
Lovely dress patterned after my MRI. Oh, holy cow.
That looks like a chair my parents had from the 60s. But Shaw.
Sure.
Is she related to Liam?
That's a good question. I would probably say no because she seems pretty unattached here, and she would have to be a great grandmother at that point. But
I don't know.
we can pretend.
Yeah, sounds good, right? It's a good fan theory. And apparently McCoy's already got the hots for her.
Of course, because the dress reminds him of something he's seen under a microscope.
So Kirk is like, you knew him for a long time, and he's like, I closed the switch and logged the incident. So that's him ratting out Ben, right?
Yeah.
So what were the actual circumstances behind?
He left a circuit thing open that if it had been open much longer, the ship would have been blown up or something like that.
He references he left the switch open to the atomic pile, which I go around the house all the time yelling for the kid. Would you shut the switch to the atomic pile? I'm not made of money.
So all these people that like are in the bar that are, on Kirk for being a rat, would they have rather just keep quiet about it, or let the ship explode?
I think, like in any organization, somebody probably would have said you should have just told them and not put it in your official report. Ensign Brown Nose. Suddenly, Stone's looking very demure over there. Hey, you know what I find fascinating about this episode? Like, there's so many touches of 20th century in here, and I don't know whether it was budget. Like, there are frame pictures on the walls, like actual photographs. Cogley's got his books. The courtroom doesn't have doors. They actually open it up and walk in at some point.
Now, is that a set redress from, say, like Perry Mason or something?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned Perry Mason, because towards the end, when we have the big confession scene, that's all I could think of was Perry Mason.
Because that's what I liked. I liked the touches of the books, and that Cogley reads instead of going to the computer, which we learn can be falsified.
That's right.
And changed.
Mm-hmm. Well, they removed the fact checkers from that law library thing, so it's tough to get an actual. I'm just going to leave it.
So he's giving Kirk his iPod. Nano. That's the Nano. Is that? Yes. So again, it comes up that he jettisoned on yellow alert and not red. So that's going to be a thing about this episode that keeps coming back. The order of things and the way that Kirk did it. So
yeah, it comes down to whether or not Kirk prematurely ejaculated.
Right.
Been saving that one up for 3 weeks.
So now they want Kirk to take the blame and deal this under the rug kind of thing. Right? So everyone in Starfleet seems corrupt in this episode except for Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Yeah, they want him to throw himself on the sword.
So I guess he just got back from the 20th century. So, it could be a physical and a mental breakdown, right?
Well, they've had a rough couple weeks, that's for sure.
And
Kirk just wigs out here.
Yeah, which was really good. So I guess he's blaming Kirk with perjury for falsifying the records.
No, that Kirk's testimony doesn't match the records. So he's basically accusing him of lying outright.
Okay. And they want Kirk out of the captain's chair.
Yeah, that's a phrase William Shatner should never use.
Under the rug.
There were a few scenes here with the lighting where I was like, oh my God, that's glaring how much it doesn't match. Not there so much.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And
No,
you said
for the angles, like sometimes right to left, the blend is really bad. Especially when he's profile right.
And what did we learn a couple weeks ago? Which way does it go? It's not the tippy top. Is it
It's kind of the front third of his head. Yeah.
So early George Costanza.
Early George Costanza would be accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're back in the bar.
I finally realized what this bar reminded me of. Do you remember on the Jeffersons, the bar that was in their building with Ned the bartender? For some reason, this reminds me of that bar.
This is early, so this is way before Jefferson's, right?
This is like 67, so maybe some of this stuff was in storage.
And used on the Jeffersons?
Maybe, especially the bar with the slats there and that big plant in the background.
And this drink.
And
with
okay.
whatever
drink,
that is.
What wasn't in it? We had an umbrella, a barber pole, various forms of fruit and or Play-Doh, and part of a tree coming out of it. It almost looks like the tropical drinks they serve Frank Drebin in one of the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah, I think it's called the Universe. Is what they call that? Call that drink. It's a little bit of everywhere. And she asks, "You seem confident." And he's like, "The confidence of an innocent man." And she's like, "Are you innocent?" I guess the other choice would be guilty. That would be the.
So her even talking to him right now under regular legal proceedings would be a huge no-no.
And this is where she tells him about Cogley, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cogley, attorney at law. She doesn't want him to. Oh, this is where she also sprouts that I'm the prosecutor. And didn't she tell him that Cogley is like the best defense attorney
out here in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, that is
some backwater starbase. Yeah.
And I was doing some research, and I did find a commercial. Like when you have these lawyers on TV, bring the hammer down type of attorneys. So let's see the commercial for the most interesting lawyer in the galaxy.
So if any character deserved a spinoff, it should have been Space Matlock.
Yeah. Space Matlock.
He could go from planet to planet, and
I would have watched that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Elijah Cook Jr. here, like he's in his 50s, 60s here, had a career well into the 80s. I mean, the guy worked from the 1920s on, was phenomenal, but apparently had real trouble remembering his dialogue.
Did he really?
Yeah, I guess because he didn't do a lot of science fiction, and it just might have been a mental block. Not that there was a lot of technobabble here, but that whole speech when he's in front of the court pleading his case and he's listing the Declaration of Martian Principles and all that stuff.
Mhm.
That whole speech apparently had to be cobbled together from multiple takes. That's why you don't see him delivering it. You're getting people's reaction shots, but they had to kind of stitch it together.
Mm.
How would you like to see Samuel T. Cogley defending Harry Mudd?
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
like, it was like a no-brainer.
so we get to Cogley's office, the great Samuel T. Cogley, where he only reads from law books, which I think I have a set of these somewhere from my parents' house. And there's the Starfleet village people.
Could they look any more stiff? I mean, outside of Stone, who's got his hands behind his back, the rest look like they're mannequins.
This guy on the far right looks
Captain
like he
Biden.
hasn't moved in days.
Yeah.
So there's a nice and relaxed Cogley, legs crossed. Kirk pleads not guilty, and I guess that is the Bible where you
Or is it a lie detector of some sort?
I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, but did we see this in the menagerie when they were giving testimony?
I don't remember.
Because I know this does show up in other legal proceedings in the world of Star Trek.
So
And
this
I
is,
think it is a lie detector.
a lie detector, or is it the, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah, but usually you take your hand off that. And let's not get involved with the God word with Gene. So I think as you're testifying, you actually leave your hand there. And there's a scene later, I don't know if you caught it, when the ensign was going over the records. She has no idea what to do with her other hand in the scene. It's like literally upside down like this, sitting on her
In her
lap.
lap.
And all I could look at during the scene, like, just flip it over, do something else with it.
So that was Spock's hand.
Yes.
Mhm.
So he's on the stand now because he ran some kind of, what did they call it?
Survey.
A survey, like he's like Family Feud. Top 6 answers on the board.
And a rare, I think is the only time we see a woman's dress uniform. We got the gold piping around the top, and the skirt is significantly longer.
I do like the piping around the neckline.
Yep.
And then what is that Spock's wearing?
That's his dress uniform with his Christmas tree brooch.
From the dollar store.
Damn white elephant on the Enterprise. He always loses it.
So she's quizzing him about the order of events and what the report says. And he says the report shows that they pressed the button before the red alert. And then Gabby Grumpy is staring at him in the back. She's at this point, she still doesn't like Kirk, right?
Yeah, she didn't read all those letters.
And this is another use of Vulcanian.
They must have used the word Vulcanian 3 or 4 times in this episode.
Mhm.
It's like nails on a chalkboard every time I hear it.
And he says it's impossible for Kirk to act out of panic or malice. And I guess he knows Kirk that well so far. I mean, we're only 20 episodes in, right? So
Well, you don't know how long they've been together before that first episode aired.
right. It was getting hot in here. I had to turn my
It didn't smoke, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
I could be a LA fire commissioner.
There you go. You've been promoted. So he basically just sits here and does he's basically who's the attorney from he's basically the other defense lawyer from My Cousin Vinny. Right?
Oh,
is it
the cousin's defense
yeah,
lawyer?
the cousin no questions.
No questions. No questions. But I like the way that, I mean, you could have had somebody, they could have taken the character the other way, arguing every point, which honestly, when you watch the episode, that's kind of the feeling you get when you first meet him. This tenacious kind of guy. He's cranky, he's into books. And then we get to the courtroom and no questions, no questions. I thought we were going to get like Jackie Childs, but.
Right. And that, you know, like when I said in the beginning, I have issues with this one, you know, it's because she built him up so much in the bar that you were expecting to see an attack dog defense attorney.
Okay, yeah. Look at, I can't see it, but there are like 4 fingers coming up out of her lap. Like, it almost looks like the arm isn't real and she just dropped it there. And what the hell is she doing instead of laying her hand flat like it was a Bible? She's doing a spider walk on the thing.
And again, he's got no questions. And then we go over a list of, I guess, McCoy's accomplishments.
Yeah, about his expertise in space psychology.
And he looked like the only one comfortable up on the stand.
Yeah, something tells me McCoy may have been in front of a jury trial previously. A lot of malpractice. So
So they're going on, and she's kind of getting it out of him that because I don't know what would it be. Oh, I guess this is the point where she kind of tries to make the point where because what's his name, Finley didn't like Kirk, so that automatically means Kirk doesn't like Finney and wants Finney dead, right? This is around that area.
Yeah.
How many fingers does he have there? 1, 2, 3.
I just looked at it and go, does he have 6 fingers there?
And again, no questions.
Which is infuriating until you find out why he's holding out.
And this is, I'm assuming from the color of the sleeve, this is Kirk on the stand again. And they just go over, I mean, it was like 2 commercial breaks of Kirk decorations, right?
Yep.
And that Axonar, that is the...
I think they had to mention his Playgirl centerfold of the month, but whatever.
Yeah. But the Axonar is that movie that they're trying to get released, isn't it?
Yes, Axonar is. I'm not saying anything about Axonar because he's Sue crazy. Yes, there's a movie out there called Axonar, and that's as far as I'll go.
Who's Sue crazy?
The people who are involved with it.
Really?
Do a deep dive on it, and yeah, it's that whole thing in itself could almost be a movie. Yeah, I'll fill you in offline someday.
So I tried to get a screen cap of all the different recommendations, and finally, what happened? My phone was like, "Just stop," because
Yeah,
it just
goes
keeps
on and on and on.
It just keeps going and going. Now, conspicuous gallantry, that's when you do it in front of somebody, right?
Well, it's the opposite of hiding behind. It's like the opposite of being gallant, hiding behind a see-through grid. That's why it's conspicuous.
Okay.
So this all hangs on whether it was a red alert and you jettison the pod, or if it was a yellow alert. And this function is so important. It's one of the 4 buttons on the right-hand side of your captain's chair. That took me out of the episode a little bit.
Then we have Kirk with his brooch and dangly. And he keeps going on about, he treated Finley. Ben.
FN, what? No, just kidding.
Exactly as he would any other crew member.
Yes. And to me, when they play back the log, the dialogue between Finney and Kirk totally seems to support that.
Right. It's cordial, isn't it?
It's cordial. He calls him Ben at one point. Finney is nothing but respectful, calls him sir. Spock says Mr. Finney is next on the duty roster. It wasn't like he handpicked him to go out there.
Right.
So, and if you really had a problem with him, don't you think the captain would not have him assigned to his ship?
Well,
the guy would have transferred out if he didn't like it there.
Yeah. Or they would have sent him down in the Galileo with Spock and left him to die with the fur bag.
For God's sake, he's wearing a gold shirt. He's fine.
And then Kirk's like, I'll do whatever I have to do to protect my ship. And that's his thing. His ship is number one. He doesn't care who lives, who dies. He just wants to protect the ship. Because the overall picture is the ship has more than one person on it.
And to be fair, that's where he keeps all his stuff. So you don't want to lose the ship.
Right. So we have the log, which I don't know, looks like it was created before Stardate 2945.7.
You mean with this lovely graphic that looks like it was done by my kids for the science fair?
I think I had better special effects in one of my high school movies.
This didn't get remastered.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that?
That's literally a 5-minute. I can go into Paint right now and give you a better version of that screen. So here we have the letterbox edition of the recording.
So he's telling Ben to report to the pod.
So we have alert, alert, jettison pod, and I guess the other two for ordering Diet Cokes or...
Yeah, well, one calls the waitress that brings over the coffee that we see at the end of last week's episode. I don't understand why. I mean, you could kind of,
even if they put jettison pod at the bottom, right? And wouldn't you think green might be more indicative of cancel red or yellow alert, condition green? Yeah, but according to all these gummy candies here, they all have a different...
These are dots.
Yeah. After they've been in somebody's mouth for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is, a candy dispenser. Hey, the old guy's up.
So who do we have here? We have I don't know who's the one that rings the bell. He's the
Stone.
ringmaster.
Stone.
Kirk asks, "Can you feel the vibrations? Come on, come on. Feel it." So now we're going to take a look, and there you go. So how do we get this image?
So
Fancy editing.
yeah, editing, but the way that I view this is that none of this is typical video audio recording. This is all sensor data, which can then be compiled and rotated and changed as needed. Of course, it doesn't work in other situations where it would have been nice, but yeah. I would take it that this is just sensor enhancement of what was going on.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that I have issues with is the, like in, what is it, Star Trek 4, where they have the trial and there's the explosions and...
Oh, well, that great Genesis footage.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
How do you have that? And
it might be from I think they even mentioned in that when it was the flight recorder data. So there might have been some sensor files or something like that that got jettisoned when the original Enterprise was scuttled.
And then like during the motion picture when the feature destroys the space station and we're still able to watch.
Again, probably sensor data. Because I think at one time he tells Uhura to switch it to an outside view. So you're using long range sensors, you can assemble a picture together. That's like primarily what the Enterprise D's main viewer was not a window, it was a 3D simulation based on the sensor data. So maybe this is just a 2D representation of that.
Mhm.
I can explain anything away with this.
Yeah, I mean it is science fiction.
What that lady's hand was doing, I have no clue what that was.
Yeah. And then we find, Kirk is insistent on that's not what happened, and Cogley's like, "Hey, I give up. I've asked so many questions. I can't get to the bottom of this anymore.
I still
Why
get
don't you
paid.
just change your plea?" And this is what pulled me out because I was expecting him to be, what she billed him up as, and it turns out that, I mean, it's like he's just collecting a paycheck.
Well, just because he's the best lawyer in the starbase doesn't mean he's the best lawyer in the galaxy. I mean, it was this or get the Ferengi lawyer down the block, and all he does is slip and fall. So,
And that's I don't even know who that is. Is that Kirk's stunt double?
where?
I mean, that doesn't even look like him. Bad lighting.
I think he's underlit. Yeah, kind of looks like Sulu there, bone structure wise. So it's great that Cogley has all these books, but doesn't own a bookshelf.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Now we go back to the Enterprise, and I guess Spock is talking to him, and what you talking about, Willis?
So yeah, now here's Jamie talking about how close they were when she went through his letters. Do you think she was actually talking about a box of actual letters on paper? Or like I was going through some of Dad's letters. What'd you do? Open up his personal files and started going through them for the hell of it?
Yeah.
I mean, think how much digital clutter we all have here. I don't know. It just kind of that kind of took me out.
So now all of a sudden she doesn't care that Kirk quite possibly killed her dad. Because the old proverbial, it won't bring him back.
And we're back to the voice of reason coming in.
And this was, I don't know if Kirk, because basically Kirk saves himself by telling Spock to go play chess. So I don't know how they would have done it or how it could have gone, but if Cogley somehow said, "Look, guys, this is like a chess match. We have to move our pieces in such a way And that's what sparks the thought of Spock going and playing the computer in chess instead of Kirk just going, "Hey, Spock, why don't you go play a game of chess?"
Yeah, maybe you could beat your next captain at chess. As far as I know, we've only seen them play chess once. And that was in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Right.
The first pilot. Other than that, I don't see Kirk playing a lot of chess. Now, had he said go play Mousetrap or Stratego, yes, that would be more of a Jim Kirk game.
But yeah, I think having Ugly say it, you can give Spock the old eyebrow while they're talking, and then the next like Bones comes in and he's like, "Well, you're playing games." And we find out that because Spock programmed chess into the computer, it can only be a draw, correct?
Correct.
And that leads. So this is kind of a Star Trek 6, right? Where he's talking about the feat of Dax.
Oh, where inevitably the boots will lead to our killer.
Yeah. Because he says the answer is the answer that's more likely or something like that is the correct one, or something to that effect. So the defense rests without actually doing anything. So I don't know why they're so tired and they're resting. So then Cogley breaks out into a song and dance.
He looks like Horshack right before he would raise his hand. What do you have, like the English captions on? The way it's spelling defense?
I don't know what it comes up as. It's whatever the DVD has. Maybe is that defense?
That's the way they spell it in England.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is that just slang for, instead of saying the counsel for the fence has rested, and he's just like, "Yo, counsel for the defense. Defense is rested."
The defense, that fence, this fence.
Yeah,
that
fence, that fence, the fence.
Defense
goes around the neighborhood.
I wasn't trying to fence anything. But here we go. Here he goes on his speech, earning a little bit of his pay.
Yeah, this guy's Look like he just woke up and he's so
This guy's
confused.
completely Bidened out. He did everything but smell Ariel Shaw's hair. This guy reminded me so much of Biden during this episode.
Ice cream. And you're right. You don't see Cogley while he's giving the speech.
No, it must have been. He must have just been off screen, literally reading the script at some point for them to get it nailed.
And then we learn that machines are. You can actually. They're not infallible. And that's what we're learning today, right? You know, changing the evidence to match the crime.
I mean, we just proved this a few episodes ago when Spock changed the tapes to get Captain Pike off of that starbase.
Right. And this, I don't know, they could have ended it here. Correct? But they keep on going, and now we have to go up to the ship and do that whole thing up on the ship now?
Well, I think it was just that they had spent a lot of money on a prop that needed to be shown on the bridge of that ship. The heartbeat monitor, which was left over from Enterprise karaoke night. Show off.
And this episode, you know, I would have been happy for it to end right here. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I did not need to go up to the Enterprise.
What probably would have sped this episode along would have been simply do a scan of the ship. How many reported people are on the ship right now? How many heartbeats do we have? I don't think they had to go get everybody off the ship, then go one by one to the remaining people. But again, they had that nice prop that they wanted to show off. John, did we lose you?
No, I had to change my headphones. Those Beats headphones were grilling into my ears. So I just had to unplug and go my earbuds.
So only 3 or 4 people could change that, including the guy who got jettisoned out.
Now they all we're not on the Enterprise now, are we?
Yes, we're on the Enterprise now.
So that's why they're sitting in a different order.
Yeah, they don't look like backup singers anymore. So this is where the seed gets planted that maybe he didn't find him because he didn't want to be found.
Now, couldn't they just run a sensor sweep, or did they have to do the heartbeat check?
That's what I was just saying. Hey, before we get up there, how many crew are accounted for? 432. How many distinct heartbeats are there on the ship right now? 433. Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Of course, finding him would be a little bit more difficult, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did he plan on getting off the ship? Because he couldn't live on the ship forever.
So that part I don't think Finney had thought out unless he planned to go down with the ship. Because he did say he wanted to see the look on Kirk's face when he realized he couldn't save his ship. So unless he was there when it was burning up in the atmosphere. Was his plan to just give Kirk a black eye before they both went out? I don't know. Oh boy.
Is this a microphone? I mean, come on.
That is
Mr. Microphone.
That's Mr. Mike. Yes, that is a microphone. Again, I know we're trying to save money and whatnot, but we could put some of those gummy bear buttons on the side, or ran a flashlight up through it. So yeah, this is a zero effort prop.
Yeah, they went next door to American Bandstand and we borrow a mic. And then there's like not even a knob on the bottom to
No,
turn.
he's pretending to twist the bottom like it's a setting of some sort. That's acting. Right there. That's a perfect album cover. DeForest Kelley sings your favorite love ballad.
The end is near. I've traveled each. And then there's one heartbeat left, and they know it's Finney. So we're going to seal off B deck.
And he goes by himself.
Yeah. And who would say, I mean, like at least you'd have security go. And you wouldn't just send Kirk down there, the guy who's accused of killing the dude, armed with a phaser.
So you have the guy in the transporter room who's still there. You've got Uhura, Spock, McCoy. You've got the entire contingency of judges. And for some reason, the bailiff went up. He's in the background on the bridge. And the helmsman. So you had enough people to send at least one or two down there. But nope, Kirk grabbed the phaser and decides he's going to handle it all by his own.
And then what's the first thing that happens?
He gets the phaser knocked out of his hands.
And his shirt gets ripped.
Yes. And I will tell you, the one drawback to these remastered episodes is how painful the stunt doubles are.
Oh, yeah.
It's really bad. This cracked me up. For Finney to have jumped out from that corner means he was standing right there when Kirk walked by and missed him.
He was hunched over.
Yeah. Grid. So shout out to the actor who did this. This whole sequence is great.
This guy looks like he's a lot older than Kirk.
Life has not been kind for him.
Well, they did say he was at the academy an awfully long time and that he befriended Kirk when Kirk was an ensign. And I think when Kirk reported him, Kirk was an ensign and this guy was above him.
Okay, that makes sense. But how old? I mean, it could be like the girl's grandfather.
Well, I mean, look at some of the guys who were in Kirk's graduating class. Were some of them held back for 19 years? So, I mean, some of them had white hair, for God's sakes.
It's got the 5 o'clock shadow.
I feel for Finney in this sequence.
Yeah, he seems like he's had it a little bit rough.
Yeah.
And then we're all watching it, and the only one that seems really, really interested is Uhura.
She's hanging on every word. And then he goes into the whole conspiracy, people plotting against him.
Now, we have, isn't Space Seed coming up shortly?
Next 2 episodes, I think.
So within the next 2 episodes, they put those little wrenches inside this table here.
Yeah. The wrenches that were never there before. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that looked like cork gun stuck into the side. Yeah. Hell, I don't even think the staircase is there right now to the second level.
And I see you managed to rip your shirt again.
Okay, when the voiceover of this cracked me up, I was able to repair. Really, you went in and pulled the wires out. It wasn't like you had a lot. You climb up the Jeffrey tube and like, I don't think these 4 wires that are crisscross every way belong here. And he just starts pulling cables out.
I don't know. To me, you would have Scotty do this.
Who's not in the episode?
Yeah. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people who are bit actors, and we have 4 regular cast members.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 10 people standing on the bridge that could. You're going to tell me 1 or 2 couldn't have gone down, and don't forget we have 1 in the transporter room still.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 11 people who could have aided there.
So apparently that's what gets the case dismissed, and the court is adjourned, and we cut from a orbital scene of the Enterprise to what is it? Mistrial.
And here's where we find out that Ben Finney's going to get the chair.
No questions asked.
Would have been funnier if Sulu came over and kissed him.
Oh my.
Who also is not in this episode.
Right. And who else isn't here? We got Scotty, Sulu. Well, that's about it, right? Chekhov's not in yet, but Chekhov is there next week or in 2 weeks, but we just don't see him.
You just don't see him. He's around. Yeah.
He's fixing stuff.
We could play Where's Chekhov in that episode. Maybe catch his hand or an elbow.
And she goes off into the sunset, which is like all of Kirk's conquests. And did he steal a book? Is he going to be brought up on charges for stealing a book from Finney?
No, that's from Cogley. He'll be billed for it. Don't worry. It'll be buried in his bill.
Or is that, or are those the letters?
No, that's a book because she said it's not a first edition or anything, but he wanted you to have it.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's probably a phone book.
Of good attorneys.
Yeah,
On the different star bases.
yeah.
Yeah. Where are you
So-
going next?
So
Oh,
this
he-
episode does have one of my all-time favorite quotes in there from McCoy when he first meets Ariel Shaw, and he says, "All of my old friends look like doctors. All of his old friends look like you."
Yeah.
That's a great line.
So I would give this maybe a 6. Started out really good, and I was hoping for a good court drama, but then towards the end, it just went down.
I think it had the potential for an 8, but I agree with you. That third act, the wheels kind of come off a little bit with the voiceovers and the other kind of weird interactions. I would give it a gentleman's 7.
Yeah, I'd be a 6.5 or a 7, just because of some of the hinky stuff.
Yeah, it was a little weird. It was a good idea. I just don't think they pulled it off.
Yeah. And it's a shame we never see Samuel T. Cogley again. I was actually thinking about it. He could have showed up in Star Trek 4 when they were all being brought in, and just, even if he was in the background, sitting there in the council, or Star Trek 6 when he's taken off to the Klingon trial.
Was he alive?
I think he was alive. He was alive into the 80s. So, and Samuel T. Cogley does show up in some of the books, and definitely in the comic books. I know in the comics at one point, he and Ariel Shaw were actually running a practice together.
See, now, don't defense attorneys? Well, I guess would a defense attorney become a judge? Could they be? I mean, they could run for judge, right?
Yeah, I mean, if Starfleet operates like modern military, if you stayed in the Judge Advocate General's office long enough, you could be appointed a judge. But usually in the Judge Advocate General's office, it's a tribunal, not a single judge. They usually have ranking fleet officers who take that position in the trial. But yeah, she wound up retiring from Starfleet and joining him in private practice. At least in one of the comics. I know he showed up in one of the books. I just don't remember which one.
And then he lost his eyesight
Like
and
me.
became a vigilante hero.
Yeah. I mean, when you go through this guy's IMDb, it's amazing how many credits.
Yeah. I did do that, and I was like, wow, this guy's been around for a long time,
He was in the
and
movie
he's done a ton of stuff.
Did a lot of horror stuff. He was in Blackula. He was in the first Night Stalker movie. Especially in the 70s, he did a ton of horror stuff.
Well, I mean, again, it was a decent episode. Not what I was expecting. Would have liked to have seen it gone a little bit differently, but not too bad. Not too bad. What's next week's?
I think it's Return of the Archons.
Yes, that is. And what is that about?
The best way to kind of give you a brief summary of that is it's Kirk versus another computer. I'll tell you, this episode, John, I think would have worked better as a season 2 episode when the characters were a little better established. To me, this is just more great background on Jim Kirk that's never referenced again. So, we had the whole Finnegan at Starfleet. We had the whole failed colony. we have this now. So they're building this rich tapestry of James T. Kirk's background, and none of it is ever really referenced again.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
So next week, Return of the Archons.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen that one. What are your guys' preliminary from your review, ratings? Like, do you remember it?
The title does not ring a bell, but when I was watching Court Martial today, and of course I always go ahead and let it start the next episode, it looked familiar, but I'm not really sure because I think there are other episodes that are kind of a Western setting, if you will.
So yeah, although the setting doesn't play much into this episode, it's again, I think it was just a use of a cheap set that was standing on the Paramount lot. So Sulu and another officer are down on a planet. Starts out they're in trouble. They need a beam up. Something happens to them in the beam up process, and they're kind of absorbed into this culture. So when Kirk goes down to figure out what happens, he finds a very rigid, controlled society, but doesn't know who's controlling it or why. And for I think at the stroke of midnight, the society loses all of its inhibitions, all of its laws, and 6 a.m. the bell chimes and they all go back to being almost automatons. And it's a bit of a mystery to figure out why this is going on and what the hell is happening.
So the strike of midnight, it becomes the purge.
Yeah, they call it festival. People start screaming festival, and there's a lot of screaming and carrying women on your shoulder, running around, torches flying. Yeah, basically Hollywood. Diddy parties. I mean, it's just
All right, that's too.
Get out there to join them.
Calling an audible. Thanks, guys, for joining in again this week. I hope you're feeling better. Deb, stay warm. Marty, stay warm. No shoveling.
Yeah, sure. I go out with my phaser and just keep wishing as I shoot the snow. Because the snowstorm has to happen as Connor's just about to go back to school. So,
right,
of course.
And everyone else in the house has got an RSV type thing going on. So sad when I'm the healthiest one kicking.
We will see you guys again next week. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I don't know what's wrong with you, but thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again very, very soon. Until then, live long and prosper. And we'll see you next time on Federation Friday on the Geek and I. Have a good night, everybody.